Josh Chigomi, good to see you back on my home trail.
Good to see you, Paul.
I know you work hard because you've got a huge job, working as a consultant, management consultant, crazy hours, never get a chance to train, often end up training early mornings, late evenings. That's why I always say no to your training runs. But it's good to have you back on the trails. And I just saw you this weekend, crashing the Bastille, long race, 7 hours, 21 minutes, 40 minutes ahead of everyone else. That was a big, long race. And you are in one piece. You seem to have training nailed. You seem to have your footwear dialed. You've been with New Balance now for a few years.
Yeah.
You know your shoes well. And now you've gone on to the V8 and you've obviously racing in the Venom. You know the shoe brand well, you know the range well. Talk us through your thoughts on the change from V7 to V8.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, yeah, I think the last time we met, I think I was riding in the V6
in
or
the Hero V7, yeah.
V7 at that point in time. And I mean, I've thoroughly enjoyed both. I think the V8 is like definitely a lot better. It's got a better tug around the foot. The whole sole and cushioning system's definitely a lot more efficient. I find that it's a lot more stable, whereas the V7 was quite narrow. This does tend to be
maybe unusually narrow for a New Balance. People have always enjoyed a roomy toe box in New Balance, but that was a bit narrow, yeah.
So for example, the V6 was pretty wide and had like a nice tug feel. The V7 was a lot narrower. So if you were a wide foot, the V7 wasn't necessarily the greatest fit for any runner.
Sure.
Whereas this has gone back to that V6 kind of feel, but just a lot lighter, a lot more stable. The outer vibrant grip, I find, is also just adds a hell of a lot more to the stability.
I think that's the key to the shoe. Yeah. The Fresh Foam X midsole, super spongy, energized, cushioned. Absolutely. Even though it doesn't have such a lot of, I mean, the stack height is actually relatively low, 2620, 6 mil drop. It looks more cushioned, feels more cushioned, but I think that Fresh Foam X with that lightness, with a Vibram outsole, like a entire Vibram outsole, which is really well lugged, 4.5 mil lugs, but those lugs run smoothly on the road to the trail, on the road back, which a lot of us who live in urban areas have got to spend a lot of time on roads, but then we get onto technical rocky trails like this, and it's actually able to make the difference.
Yeah,
it's almost like a gravel sole. It's comfortable on the road and on pretty gnarly stuff. It's that mega grip grips well, and that Vibram outer sole, that Eco Step, actually balances the soft midsole really well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, so I know this version of the shoe is slightly heavier than the V7.
320 grams, yeah.
But when you actually run in it, it feels a hell of a lot lighter. So I think the design, they definitely nailed the design a lot better than the V7. Although it's slightly heavier, it actually feels lighter.
But that's coming from a gent who's skinnier and weighs what you do. A big guy like me, 320 grams, walk in the park, they feel super light to me. You obviously, as a super racing snake, might spend more time training in this and probably racing in the Venom?
Bit of both. So I would say this shoe's great for anything over 20 Ks.
Okay.
What is great about this, especially if you are doing longer distances, is that it does have that little bit of extra cushioning. Because what does tend to happen when you're running post 30 Ks is that your form goes, you end up landing on your heel.
Sure.
Whereas this has that midsole cushioning and really provides a little bit of extra support.
And I think what's nice about the Vibram outer sole, the Eco Step, is that it's not like a plated shoe. And we were talking about plated shoes. Guys like you don't really know what it's like to not be able to get onto your forefoot, but it does rock you onto the forefoot. And in this case, it doesn't need it. This outer sole, which, I mean, if I just point out here, is completely covering the outer. It's firm, and it does have a nice extended rear, and it's quite, I mean, at 26 mils, you're still pretty close to the ground.
Yeah.
So you still got a nice grounded feel, but it does rock you onto the forefoot. It is cambered, and it is going to roll you forward onto the front.
So, I mean, I did about 1,200 Ks in the shoe I was running before this one, V8. Still durable, still in great shape.
Lugs still 4.5 mils.
Still going strong, which I think is something you want out of a shoe, particularly with the cost of shoes these days.
For sure.
You want something that's durable and doesn't lose its shape over distance. And as I said, I did about 1,200 Ks. And
sure, and obviously the engineered upper, it's got these great non-stitched overlays. There are lots of them. You do feel a lovely cushioned sense of
Yeah, it's very nice. It's
foot
like-
snug.
it's
Yeah, absolutely.
snug and
light enough.
awesome
And
in that sense.
you didn't find much wear on that, even in Cape Town, Cape's rocky.
So
rocky
to be
trails?
honest, what's been a big saving grace for me is the toe protector.
Yeah.
I've got a habit of kicking my toe all the time.
I
and
think
if
most of us do. I've needed a bumper more often than most. Yeah.
So I really love what they've done with this shoe. I think it's a great everyday shoe for any trail runner, from an amateur to an intermediate or to a pro.
Yeah, I must say, I'm with you on that. I mean, I've just been over to Chamonix for UTMB. We were chatting earlier. I wore these the whole day. I did a run in the morning. I spent the whole day interviewing people, covering races. I was comfortable on them when I got home at night.
Awesome.
Which is unusual for a shoe that's close to a racing shoe. I mean, in my case, I need the cushioning. It's lightweight enough for me. It's comfortable, as you said, it's wide enough. The cushion is there. They're 3,100 Rand. I don't feel like I'm in a sort of super fragile. Maybe the V7 was a bit fragile. And this, as a beefed up shoe, I didn't feel like I was going to break down my super expensive, super lightweight shoe. As you said, lasted you 1,200 Ks. And that's running pretty intensely. We saw you on the rocks and the routes earlier. You move in a shoe. So yeah, I must say, New Balance once again, I mean, working class hero, excuse the pun, but it's a good buy.
I think it's great value for money.
Yeah, me too.
And it's going to have you covered in every sort of trail that the Cape Town trails have to offer at least.
And I think most of South Africa, I mean, you've run quite a lot in KZN. I mean, there's some big climbs there and you're coming down a long way, so you need a lot of cushioning underfoot for all the jarring descents.
Yeah. So I think running in South Africa, you need a little bit of cushioning because our ascents and descents are generally very technical.
Sure.
And everyone needs a little bit of added protection.
Yeah, absolutely. So Josh, that's the shoe. Tell us a little bit about you. I mean, how old are you now?
Last
so
time I
young.
checked, I'm 32.
32, so you're actually coming into your prime. Are there any particular goals over the next 4 or 5 years when you're in the prime of your endurance career that you're aiming for? I mean, you obviously do really well. You won the race on the weekend, but you still you did well.
To be honest, I haven't looked beyond this year. I'm still studying at the moment, finishing off my MBA at UCT in a couple of months.
That's proper.
So I think once the studies are done, only having to focus on a job and running would be great to actually finally get over to running overseas.
Go to World Champs or go to UTMB or one of those.
Or just travel the world and run there.
Just run.
Finally have the time to do that.
Amen to that. Good to see you. Thanks for your time.
Good to see you too. Thanks, Paul.
Lekker.